When I first got into religious science, there was an expression that people came to religious science for princes, palaces, and parking places, the three Ps. And which served as a wonderful metaphor for relationships, abundance, and the quality of life, which is really what this center is all about, is to enrich our lives and to allow us to see that power. Now, as Reverend Bonnie was saying, Tina and I typically do these things together. My princess figured that her quality of life would be enriched by sitting in the audience today. So, and somebody pointed out that my purple shirt was very nice, but I might disappear into the background there. No way. I guess there's too much of me, right? The gift of January in CSL centers is the opportunity to get back to basics. Ernest Holmes said, "This philosophy is the essence of simplicity," which presents a wonderful challenge to the January presenters as to how clearly can we explain this simple philosophy. Well, here goes. Let's look where we've been, and we thought a great place to begin was to look at the religious science symbol there, which serves as a wonderful visual aid to demonstrate the first three chapters. A circle enclosed in a descending V, divided into three parts. Bonnie began the month with chapter 1, which talked about the top, spirit, the divine, the thing itself, ultimate stuff, God. Teresa introduced chapter 2 with her experiences with the way it works, how the thing itself interacts with law representing the middle of the symbol. Today we are talking about chapter 3, what it does. Spirit descending through law, creating form. Form illustrated by the bottom third of the symbol. Simply put, our conscious mind expresses through our belief and creates our experience. As Holmes tells us, belief is law. Not simple enough? Try this. Think of an acorn. It has within it the divine pattern of an oak tree. That seed expresses through law, or the earth's nutrients and water, and becomes a mighty oak. The acorn's divine pattern is of an oak tree, so it cannot express as a corn plant or an apple tree. So what does this mean to us? Again, conscious mind expressing through our beliefs become our experiences or our oak trees. Still not simple enough? Geneva's favorite way of explaining this is you mix blue and yellow and you get a shade of green. This is a divine law. If you want purple, you don't pray for purple and continue to mix blue and green, or blue and yellow. For a shade of purple, you need to change what you're doing and mix blue and red. You don't continue to mix blue and yellow and expect to get purple, which serves as a wonderful metaphor for the expression, change your thinking, change your life, or its outcome. So if you want purple and are getting green, change what you're doing. As some of you have heard, Tina, Geneva, and I went through our classwork in the first years of our practitioner studies with Reverend Donald Graves, whose focus was heavily on law and the intellect. We completed our practitioner studies and served for many years as practitioners with Reverend Candy Franks, whose focus was love, the heart, and oneness with all. Another way to see the difference between the two was Reverend Donald was committed to personal growth, personal goal setting, cleaning up old beliefs that no longer served, owning the effect we create in our lives, acknowledging the ones we like, and actively working to transform those experiences or effects we wanted to release. Reverend Candy was committed to building community and the personal growth of its members. Our physical space here works, it's terrible when you're working with a script and lose your place. Our space here at the center is a reflection of that commitment. What they both taught us is beautifully summarized by Ernest Holmes. Love points the way, and law makes the way possible. We are fortunate today in Reverend Bonnie's ministry. She demonstrates to us that balance between the two, love and law, and what it accomplishes both through the individual in this center and within the spiritual community and our greater Las Cruces community. During our years here, we have learned many catchy phrases that help anchor these ideas into our consciousness. One we are still hearing today, treat and move your feet, which says that you can treat or pray for what you want and then take appropriate action towards that goal. In other words, effective treatments are active, not passive, requiring both thought and action. Our experiences are driven by cause and effect. We take action based upon beliefs, which is cause, and results in experiences which are their effect. This is true not only for individuals, but also for communities. As I said earlier, Ernest Holmes said this philosophy is the essence of simplicity. He also said in a given situation, one state of consciousness will determine one kind of result, in another mental state, a different manifestation. As business people, we recognize a business's results are a reflection of a group's consciousness. The same is true not only of groups, but of individuals. What it does is creates an outpicturing of consciousness. Plotinus, a 3rd century Greek philosopher, said, there is within each of us a higher man or woman. Of course, back then waiting for our recognition. I think the first 2 chapters of the Science of Mind can be summed up wonderfully in Ernest Holmes' own words. The thing then works for us by working through us, and is us always. That recognition often comes when someone comes into our lives who sees that greater person and reflects it back to us, which is one of the roles and indeed a gift of Reverend Bonnie and this center. Jesus said the kingdom of God is within, so it is an inside job. Like the acorn, a pattern of perfection resides within each of us. We each have a mold of greatness awaiting our discovery. As our molds unfold, those persons or things that are in alignment with them, or with this new mold, will attract into our experience those people who can facilitate it, and those who do not tend to vanish. We can draw from the universe as much as we can conceive or believe, no more. Wayne Dyer said it wonderfully. I'll see it when I believe it. I took a workshop with Tony Robbins, an impressive NLP trainer. What fascinated me about the workshop was his comment that if you can understand the state of mind and belief of another person, which enables you to do something remarkable, you can do it, as long as there is no physical reason that limits you. He went on to say this is how he learned to firewalk. Now, I would like to do a little exercise with you. Some of you have participated in this exercise before. I'm repeating it because it's a powerful part of Tina's and my personal growth and gives us a touchstone to use when we're facing difficult situations. So please indulge me and close your eyes. Now visualize yourself standing in your bare feet on a patch of cool, wet grass. Feel the coolness and dampness on your feet. Now visualize stretched before you 15 feet of 1,200-degree hot coals. Feel their heat washing over your feet, drifting to your face. In your mind's eye, see the glowing coals. Smell the pungent scent of the fire. Now think about taking a step onto the bed of coals. Listen to what your mind and your belief about fire is telling you. What do you feel? Now imagine you are standing on the cool grass on the far side of the bed of coals. Feel the exhilaration knowing you took that first step and completed the walk across the hot coals. Listen to your mind, listen to what your mind is telling you now. And now you can open your eyes. Again, paraphrasing Plotinus, there is within each of us a divine pattern of a giant waiting our recognition. What steps do you need to take? What bed of coals do you need to walk through to recognize the power that you are? With this firewalk as a frame of reference, would you allow self-imposed limiting beliefs to go unchallenged? Can you ever again accept unchallenged perceived limitations of what the greater you can accomplish? Following the firewalk that we were talking about, Tony invited the LA Fire Department burn unit, and they interviewed a number of the people that participated. And they've generally found three categories of people that came out of it. The ones that absolutely know that it was not safe to step onto the coals, which is very smart. The people that were willing to step into the coals but needed a little bit of proof that the coals were hot, and so they ended up with a little blister. And the rest of us who just thought there was no problem and went ahead and did it. The firewalk is an excellent example of the power of the mind, how we can change our mind about our limiting beliefs. Holmes reminds us that that unfolding from a limitless potential, or that we are unfolding from a limitless potential, but can bring into our experience only that which we can conceive. Emma Curtis Hopkins said, "I know today that the universe and this field of infinite possibilities are available to me and every living being." And of course, Napoleon Hill. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Simply stated, that's what it does. Much of my early life, I created out of ignorance. Ignorance of who I was, ignorance of how life worked, ignorance of spiritual laws. I don't remember voting on the law, but there they are. I now know that if I ignore them, deny them, abuse them, they will become consequences, which explains some of my unhappier experiences of the past. Law shows no favorite. If we mix blue and yellow, we'll get green. If we want purple, we better mix other colors. It's not that life is not fair. Life is consistent with and will not violate its own laws, no matter how nicely we ask. This law tells us whatever appears in our life is an outpicturing of the beliefs we are holding. In leaving a negative relationship or a job, if our basis in thought does not change, we will recreate the situation again. We have choices. We can do things as we have always done them with predictable results, or we can step outside our comfort zone into the knowledge, or into the unknown, and tap that giant within. Who you are speaks so much louder than what you say. Our philosophy reminds us that at the core of our being resides the One. I look at you, and I can see it. I know we can all act from this power. At the same time, we can look at ourselves and see our mistakes of the past and can forget who we are. Allow our past to shape the experiences of our present. Reverend Peggy Bassett reframed it this way: never make the past bad. It's part of who you are. In fact, it's a building block of your present. And it's a building block of your present and future, therefore a part of your strength. So the question for us is, can we get out of our own way? I know life is like a game, not a battle. It is played most successfully when we know the rules. We are captains of our faith, arbiters of our soul, and I absolutely know the buck stops with each of us. So what are we? As we've learned, we are ultimate stuff, expressing through universal laws within the body of all that is, expressing as us. The thing itself is you, me, everything and everyone. Therefore, if I am one with it and you are one with it, then we are one with each other, everyone and everything, which leads us nicely to today's what it does. If God is to express itself to us, it'll express itself through us. It is the seed of the giant which is in each of us, the recognition of which will allow us to transform our beliefs and our experiences. Yesterday is part of our strength. Today can be a magnificent adventure exploring our potential. Tomorrow can be a giant revelation and a celebration of life. Instill into your mind the fundamental proposition that good is without bounds. Go forth with faith and sow your seeds, and be ready to reap a magnificent harvest. Namaste.